Welcome once again, everybody, to The Dynasty. It's a podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm Chris Stewart. A.J. McCarron, busy coaching right now with the, almost said the Birmingham Fire. I got my pro teams from Birmingham mixed up. I didn't say Iron, even though we've got the former running back in Trent Richardson here, but the Birmingham Stallions, where A.J. McCarron's head coach. It's got him away tonight. So it's me and Trent. We're glad you're with us. New episodes of The Dynasty drop each week on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find out more at thedynastybama.com. And also, whenever you're listening, please rate, review, and share across social media and use that handle at thedynastybama. Coming up today on the podcast, we're going to get into the 12 former Alabama players headed to the NFL Draft Combine and get some of Trent's thoughts on those guys, and we'll talk about how things look for them. We're also going to discuss the future of non-conference scheduling in college football. What might that look like with all the changes that have been taking place? And we're also going to spend a little time talking about Bama basketball, the men, with a couple of more big wins, a great game, an all-time game as far as regular season is concerned, certainly with the double overtime win last week against the Arkansas Razorbacks. But Trent, with AJ busy in Arlington right now, I want to talk to you about Ty Simpson a little bit, who of course headlines the 12 players from Alabama that are going to attend the combine. Draft analyst Daniel Jeremiah says, quote, says that Ty, quote, probably has the most at stake between where we are today and when we get to the draft. You've gone through this pressure. I know the quarterback position is different from the others, but you understand going through the process in the scrutiny that everybody undergoes. And I appreciate you showing the guns off tonight so that we can understand that's a big part of the whole draft deal. They got you everything almost buck naked out there for draft day. And again, flexing on them. I get it. But beyond that, how much of a microscope is Ty Simpson going to be under in this next week?
I think, with the draft process, man, big for Ty. And much as some other quarterbacks either, man, because, when you think about, what Ty did this year, people can't say that he can't control the game. He can definitely control the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing for him is going to be the mindset, when he's getting, pressured, and getting hit, and how much football do you actually know? For him, have different coordinators almost every year. He's been underneath different coordinators, so he have had a chance to learn differently than everybody else too. So I think Ty go in there and do good, man, because he's a smart kid, and he make decisions on the run, on the move. Talking about some of the pressures that he had this year, right? But I think they're going to see him put up good numbers and make the right NFL throws. Like make the throws that that I've seen him make. Within the games. So he pulled off some big moments, especially this year, man, when he had them third downs, completions, crossing routes that he hit. I'm talking about 1 inch type throws. And when I mean by 1 inch type throws, and I learned this from my offense coordinator when I was playing for the Birmingham Iron, that throw that just go over that defender finger, that 1 inch over that defender, finger. And so I think Ty, it's pressure, but at the same time, and I think the pressure that Ty got, I think he has been through it already. The film's going to show.
And also, you talked about the coordinators and the changes that he's dealt with in college in that regard. The stability of being taught in those formative years of his life. I mean, he's the son of a college head coach. So he's sitting in on that stuff. He's learning literally at the feet of his father, who knows the game, successful at it. And then, yes, the changes that force you to learn different things. It's almost, I'm sure it's tough in college, all the change and the lack of continuity. But I would think anyway, it helps your resume that you've undergone all of that adversity, all that change, and still been able to succeed at a pretty high level.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great for him. And you know, having that, you know, man, I've had every year in college a different offense coordinator, or so for him, man, it's almost an advantage because he's done been in the West Coast offense. Now he's done been, you know, in the spread offense. He's done been, you know, in a pro offense, and
He's
so
not a
he's
system guy
no, he's
because
not a
he's seen them
system
all.
guy. He's
Okay.
seen them all. And so when you're able to have that type of mindset and you know that up on people because you can go to the next level. Like I went my rookie year, we had a West Coast offense. Man, he got to say everything that everybody's doing within the play when he's in the huddle. And so being able to, you know, spit that out your mouth and be able to, you know, understand that and getting people to, you know their jobs, how they doing their jobs and stuff like that too. So like it was hard for quarterbacks that I've played with to enunciate most of that stuff, man. So, you know,
Right.
just to have the correct verbiage of it and to understand like, okay, if you say Ripple is, it might not be the same from that's the other system that you were just in. So if you're trying to, you know, put a quarterback on put a running back on a route, you know, it might be F or it might be H or it might be, you know, T blast or something. You know, it's something different, you know, within a language. And so, you know, just understanding and having the timing. And so, like I said, like I think Ty might have the biggest advantage when it comes to, you know, the mental of it and being on the board. That's gonna be the big thing. Can you talk football on the board? You know,
Right.
how are your interviews gonna be? They're gonna go in, they're gonna give you 5 things that you're gonna have to remember. Right? Like it can be red, blue, popcorn, soda, uh, 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 just throw out a name, Trent, you know, whoever. They give you
Right.
5 things to remember. And at the end of it, they're gonna ask you those 5 things before you go out the door after you done went through a whole interview process. And
Right.
so if you can remember at least 3 or 4 of them,
Hmm.
bro, you the guy.
Yeah. Let's go back to another thing for him. Most analysts seem to have him as the number 2 quarterback behind Fernando Mendoza. Of
Mhm.
course, uh, my therapist says it's good for me to say his name fully and say the word Indiana. It's good for the healing process. Um, but it looks like he does have a really good chance at being a first rounder
Yeah.
if this whole process goes well. Look, how important is it to be first round versus right situation?
To me, the best thing for me is to have the right situation. Because you know, you go early enough in the first round, you're going to the worst teams in the league, right?
Yeah.
And don't nobody got the lottery pick that went undefeated. Nobody, nobody that was in that playoff run has the first picks or
Right.
was in the you know the final games, right? Nobody. And so for him to go somewhere like who just won the Super Bowl?
Not New England, Seattle.
Seattle or New England, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You know, I'm just talking about for 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
But you know, when you got guys like that, you know, they expect you to go in and change the game day one. They expect you to be a 5-year, 6-year vet day one when you come in to play. And so, you know, I think, like I keep saying, he has the advantage because he's had different offense coordinators and different systems every year he's been in. And he had a privilege of being, you know, in a room with Bryce, Jalen, um, you know, and learning from those guys and see the process that these guys going to. And he got guys that he can lean on, right? And his dad, like you said,
Sure.
has always been a college coach. And so when you got guys like that around you, I think that makes it much sweeter, you know, to see how much these guys can, you know, grow on you and you learn the game of football. So I think Ty's gonna be all right.
Germie Bernard, Caden Proctor, LT Overton, all guys who have been talked about as second round picks as well. How do you view each of them in terms of making a roster quick and making an impact?
Well, it really just depends what people want, you know, and what they need on their team, right? Um, to me, I think Jeremy Bernard should go pretty high. I definitely think he should sneak in that first round. You know, people saying second round, but he's gonna be the closest thing you catch next to Debo from San Francisco. Now he's with the Commanders. And so, you know, when you see a type of talent like him, you can put him at running back, you put him at receiver. You can put him at the slot. You can put him outside. He's just a dependable player. And so when you got
On and
guys
off
like
the field.
on and off the field, right? Because we know he's the citizen that, everybody want to be like off the field. 'Cause I'm telling you, he's a great kid. And so when you got guys like that, you can almost plug him in any system.
Right.
And so, go in the right place for him. And so, when you talk second round, like second round is not bad. Like my guy Courtney Upshaw went first pick second round of Baltimore Ravens and won it his rookie year.
Yeah.
And so my guy been in two Super Bowls and went to the one with the Falcons too. But when we talking about second round, it's not bad. You look at Lamar Jackson, went first pick second round to the Ravens. And so when you look at guys like that, even third round. I mean, I think Russell Wilson went with third round to Seattle and came out and won the job out there and won a Super Bowl with Seattle. So when you look at guys like that, man, you just got to get out there and ball, man. Just be you. Show them guys that you're able and you're available at all time and you know your craft.
Personal experience for you with combine.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about what that combine experience was like for you.
For me, it was weird and it was different because like I couldn't compete as far as the events and stuff because I had just had knee surgery. And to me, I wanted to go out there and show, everything I can do. I wanted to go out there and run a 4.3. I wanted to go out there and go lift 225 40 times. That was my, objectives, man. I wanted, and that's something I wanted to do my whole life. And so getting injured right before or having surgery right before the combine, to me, it hit me even harder because I couldn't go out there and show everybody I was going to be the best guy at the combine, at all athletes. That's what I wanted, to be, not just as running back, but as all athletes. I want to be one of the best guys there. So you see guys go out there and put up these big numbers and stuff. And do really good. And man, I was actually out there helping guys, like teaching them how to run the 40 because I was a real big guy. I was a real good guy in high school with track and field. Shouts out to my guy Derek Boyd, my high school coach. I was actually running 10.31 in high school. And Justin Gatlin used to come out and help me out a lot too. But I was really good out the blocks. I knew how to throw myself out the blocks, and I knew the phases of the race. And I had a real good trainer when I was out there, doing my combine training. And so for me, man, I was more hyped because I seen what Julio did the year before. And so me and Julio always been in. Hey, I bet you can't do this, or I bet you I can do this better. I can bet you I can do this faster. So that was us.
Yeah.
And so he went out there running a 4.3 with a broken foot. I'm like, man, I can go out there running without a knee, without a meniscus and lateral meniscus and all this other stuff, but I couldn't, but
right.
And so for me, man, the experience was so different because, you go in, you go to the doctors and Dr. Andrews, they did all my surgeries and stuff like that. And so good thing for me, he was there, he's leading the combine and stuff. And so they put you in this room, they put you in about 3 or 4 different rooms and it's nothing but doctors. And I'm talking about they picking at you, they pulling at you.
Right.
They're making you move around. And, it's just like they put a person on a doggone table and they examine everything about you. And from high school, when you got injured in high school, when you got injured in Little League, they know exactly everything that went on with you. And so you got to tell them. And I had 2 screws in my ankles, both my ankles in high school. And so to me, I had to express that, I did have that surgery in high school, and I never had a problem with them afterwards. But, from Dr. Andrews doing my surgeries back then, they knew what was going on. So Dr. Andrews stopped them a lot from pulling on that knee because I did have a pro day coming up too, and I had to be ready for that. And so, man, they pull on you, and it's all day. Like I think the first day was more, you get your invitation and stuff like that. You go see Nike, your Under Armour, your Adidas, and I think Puma might be in a part of it, but you go see all them and, you get your packages, all that type of stuff. But then like the next day you got to do medical early in the morning and you probably won't be until about 7 in the morning, probably won't be done with that until like 3 that day. And, it depends on what position that you was at. You was starting to combine that day too, someone was. And so then you get the Wonderlic test, which is BS, right?
Yeah.
Excuse my language. Man, you
That's
had
the
guys.
cleanest thing you've ever said on here. What are you talking
Hey,
about?
man, listen, man. Hey, man, I'm trying to change my life, man.
I hear you, brother. I hear you,
It
brother.
might come out soon, but hey, I'm trying to change my life, man.
Good man. Good man. All right, we're going to talk more on the other side of the break. We look forward to talking about non-conference scheduling and what that may look like with all the changes going on in college football and the talk of changes with the playoff, all of that good stuff. Stay with us. This is the Dynasty. We're minus our quarterback. It's all right. We're just going to run Wildcat all day with Trent Richardson. The podcast is a look at Alabama athletics. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Dynasty, a podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. New episodes each week. Find out more at thedynastybama.com, or if you're rating, reviewing, or sharing, you can do so. Our social media handle at the Dynasty Bama. AJ is out today coaching up the Birmingham Stallions. Things getting started this week with him. So we're filling the gap. We're going Wildcat. Trent Richardson just taking the direct snap and running with it with me. I'm Chris Stewart, and let's talk about non-conference scheduling. Trent, a lot of conversation that things are changing with the SEC adding the extra game. There's a lot of talk that the Ohio State series will, which was set for 27-28, will not happen. Does raise a larger question. With the 9-game schedule now for the SEC, does it really make sense to schedule FSU, Ohio State, Notre Dame for Alabama? Those are games on the schedule. Does it make sense to go that route if you're Alabama?
If I'm Alabama right now, to play Ohio State or Florida State first game of the season with a 9-game SEC season now and possibly 10 if you make it to the SEC championship, no, I would not play them. Like, why would I? If they're not playing a brutal schedule like the SEC, and, people are saying the SEC ain't what it used to be because we ain't won one in 3 years, but we beat on our damn selves. Excuse my language. God dog it, Chris. You got me up here.
I hadn't said boo. I'm behaving.
Yeah, we beat on ourselves all year. Up to the last week, we had the top 10 or top 15. It might have been 8 teams out there SEC. So why would we give the Big Ten or somebody that's independent, Notre Dame, right? Why would we give them the luxury of knocking ourselves off and they sneaking into that 12th spot? Because we all know they just got to be ranked in the top 12 now, right? And so why would we do that? Like, to me, unless you – and it's crazy to say it, and because a lot of these games mean something to us, right? Like the SEC championship game means something to us, especially for the guys that played in it and as far as the tradition. Hell, you win the SEC championship game 9 times out of 10. Back in the day, you were going to win a national championship. And so for me, why would you risk not even having that game anymore, right?
Right.
Because if I'm going to sit up there and play Ohio State and Florida State and one of these other big teams out of conference and they're not playing half or a fourth of what we're playing on schedule type.
Right.
Why? What are we doing?
So here's the thing. We know we want the path in. We don't want to make it tougher for the SEC teams, especially Alabama, than other conferences. So we know that players like playing in those games. Fans like watching it. Schools, conferences, and the broadcast partners like making the money from it. Let's talk about, what's the solution? Is it for the committee to show with their actions that strength of schedule is a priority? Do you believe scheduling and losing the Ohio State game is what kept Texas out of the CFP this past season, despite they had the 9th best strength of schedule? How do you really want to see the committee treat strength of schedule moving forward?
Listen, I wouldn't have a problem with it if everybody's playing the same schedule as far as strength, right? Like if they're playing the same as we're playing, don't just play us, play Ole Miss, play LSU, play Florida, like play these other guys as powerhouses, right? Like don't
Yeah.
just schedule us on there and try to get off on us and hey, now you the best team in the league. No, let's make sure y'all playing the same tight schedule. I mean, I don't know how do you fix it unless you go because it's not even a East and West no more in the SEC, right? So unless you go back to doing stuff like that and because at the end of the day, bro, you're killing these kids. And what I mean by that, like you gotta think about injury. Kirby said it best when they played in the SEC championship. Alabama was a good damn football team, but both our teams are beat up. Like I think the SEC was mentally, physically worn out when it came to the playoffs.
I want to argue with you. And again, Alabama was a really good football team in that SEC championship game. The problem is some of the best, most important players were on the
I
sidelines.
think it was what 12 guys
Street
we had out.
clothes. I just know there were some guys we could definitely used in that game that would have that weren't available to go. And going back to the strength of schedule deal, here's one of the biggest questions they're dealing with right now, Trent, is whether or not a 9-3 team with a top 10 strength of schedule ought to be in over a 10-2 team with a strength and schedule that's strength of schedule, excuse me, that's in the 30s or the 40s. Do you punish? I'm just going to use an example because I know they don't fall in that category right now, but most years, you going to punish Florida State for being in a league that's not as good, even though they've got a really, really good record, over somebody else that maybe's got a lesser record but a tougher league? You can only play who you're scheduled, who gives you the schedule. So, let's face it, when Ohio State originally, or some of those teams that were in the Big Ten were originally given Indiana last year, they felt pretty good about it until they found out. I mean, we did. We were sitting here begging, please send us Pasadena and play Indiana.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Please let us be bracketed with Indiana. I was thrilled because I thought it gave us the best path to get to the national championship game. I thought we're going to, go to Norman. That's fine. We'll get them. That happened. We're going to go to Pasadena. Then we're going to go here. Then we're going to play. Whoops. They're pretty good. So I know it varies year to year. You can't just go off of, a stock answer necessarily. But that's among the things they're going to have to deal with is 9-3, and you're a top 10 strength of schedule over 10-2, but they're in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
It's a legit conversation. That's why I think we're getting too many dang teams in.
Yeah.
And what is big a conversation? I know you can still go 1 loss versus 2 loss or no losses versus 1, depending on your league. I understand all that. That's been going on since, even if you're just doing the polls. But at the same time, you're going to have to draw a line at some point, and that's a tough call to make. Depends on the situation, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think teams should get punished because when you look at top to bottom, like top to bottom, your league that you're in. SEC was the strongest top to bottom. We used to be really weak at the bottom, but now we're really strong at the bottom right now. And so you got, teams like that, and schedules like that. You go, you think about, what the Big Ten is doing, ACC. You can't name guys out of that league other than, the top schools. Like, we can't name the programs that's at the bottom because they don't pay attention to it, right? And so for me, it is one of those things where, man, everybody got to have a legit schedule to sit there and say that, if a team from the SEC go 10-3 and a team from a different league go 10-2, but they won the big games. They won the games they're supposed to win. The games that they didn't win was probably the first game of the season.
Yeah.
And you don't know what you're going to get. And so for me, it's one of those things that, you compare and you by the strength of your schedule, bro. It's nowhere around it. and I hate talking about, this Notre Dame stuff, man, but I'm disappointed in the fact of, like, bro, y'all got a chance to, like, prove that y'all are the best teams out there. And I heard, Kurt Zanetti say, like, I'm gonna play the games that's on my schedule. And I'm gonna pick the games that's on my schedule. Why would I have to go and play Alabama first game of the season? Why would I go play a Georgia first game of the season? For what? Or, week 3 or week 4. For what? I can go and win my league and, everybody think we're a cakewalk and we can just go surprise
Bobby
a lot of
Bowden
folks.
did it for years, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. He could have brought Florida State into the SEC when expansion first happened. But he's the one that said, no, why are we going to do that? Make it easier on everybody else. In theory, it's what we talked about with the SEC going to 9 games. It's why they fought it for the longest time. Our 8 are tougher than your 9.
Yeah.
So why should we do it? But now,
our 6 is tougher than your 9.
No question. No question. Hey, our producer, good friend Steve Gorgie, does a great job every week putting things together for us, and really is the backbone behind this show, and we appreciate him. But he loves to throw stuff at us. Good time now with AJ out. We'll slide him, get a little FaceTime here. Steve, what you got for us?
Yeah, guys, so last week, Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte was on a podcast, and there's been so much talk with them. Are they going to keep this Notre Dame series on the schedule? They have that coming up in a couple years. There's been a lot of talk. Are they going to keep them on the schedule? And one of the things Chris Del Conte said in this interview was, he said, I think expanding the postseason will strengthen the regular season. Now, personally, I'm a little skeptical on that statement. I want to see how you guys feel on that. Do you agree?
What are we talking about? How?
All right, so strengthening the postseason, to me, it depends on how you define that.
Exactly.
You say that one more time.
So I think what he's saying expanding the postseason will strengthen the regular season because schools like an Alabama, like a Texas, like a Florida, USC, whoever, will want to go out and play Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, whatever big non-conference game you have. I think what he was trying to get out there is right now maybe schools are hesitant to play some of those games because they're afraid if they lose that non-conference game early in the season, they're going to be left out of the postseason.
Here's what I think a lot of these are, guys. It's basically people that say this, they want you to help make it easier for them to compete. It's almost like when and I know because I'm a little brother, hey, we're going to race. Oh, all right, well, let me get a little head start. Because I can't beat you like it is. I can't beat you head up just like it is. So why don't you wait up? Alabama used to say, why would we need to play more? We're going to play all y'all anyway. It's called the postseason, and we get there. And we'll play you there. And I don't know. I may not be answering the question.
No, you right on point.
That you're asking, but
you're right on point because it's like one of those things, like you said, like I'm a little brother too, so it's like, hey, I bet you want to race with my shoes off. Like it was one of those type things. And so for me, like when you expand the postseason, like now we're talking about combine and NFL, getting ready for NFL too. Like you get guys more hurt, you get guys hurt, you get, when do they have time to train? When they had time to work on their craft for the next level. And then at that is like, you add more teams because it get easier. Like now guys can go lose 4 games in a regular season. Like now guys, if you add 24 teams, guys can almost lose 4 to 5 games and have a secure spot in the doggone playoffs. Like, so it's going to be a lot of bad football if they keep going that route. I think where we at, I think you need to stay right there. And to me, I don't like the 12 game, but it was an interesting postseason this year. So
this year,
right? It was very, different, and it was exciting at times, and sometimes you'd be like, bro, why are they playing against them? Like, and so it comes to a point to where it's like, it's never going to be the right way. they're just gonna have to cut it off and be like, man, we're not taking no more teams. We're not taking, no more answers for anybody who got a solution for it until they, nail it down a right way, which is we don't know if it's gonna ever be a right way for the playoff system and the post system. If they keep adding, bro, I'm telling y'all, man, college football gonna be in trouble because it's gonna be a lot of unwanted football that people's not gonna watch because it's like, bro, why would I even watch that game?
Well, I agree with just about everything you said until your very last thing. And here's the only reason I disagree. Because we're watching these bad bowl games now that literally have no meaning.
And that's what it's going to turn into.
And they're playing on. Well, I agree with that as well. But my point is people are still watching, even if it's bad, because that's how popular college football is. They'll watch this, what is it, the Bahamas Bowl, whatever they're doing, and they're playing on a high school track. And I still think most of the people watching are just cardboard cutouts that they're putting up or Disney characters. They're doing animation to make it look like, there's 1,000 people there. But it's football. And so
listen, I say that
it
until the Dynasty have till we have our bowl game, right?
Yeah, exactly. The Dynasty Bowl.
Yeah,
I'm
Dynasty
fine with
Bowl.
that. Ah, man, Steve Gorgie's going to look great on a float. All right, when we come back, thank you, Steve, by the way. When we come back, we're going to turn our attention to the hardwood and also a couple of hard topics. Some athletes that have lost their lives, taken their lives, and Trent with some interesting thoughts on that when we come back and wrap it up for this edition of The Dynasty, a podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Last segment for this week on The Dynasty, a podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Just checking in. AJ McCarron back with us next week, but the coach of the Birmingham Stallions having to be away and not able to join us for this week's edition of the program. We're running Wildcat with Trent Richardson, getting all the snaps in this one. And we're going to wrap things up talking Bama basketball in just a moment. But we've got a new feature where we started a week or two ago called Short Yardage, a chance for Trent to have a quick look at a couple of topics or a topic normally each week. We do have two this week, Trent, and one of them really, really sad. Rondale Moore, NFL receiver, had a season-ending training camp knee injury each of the last 2 years. Had a great career at Purdue, second-round draft pick, I believe, after and then after that was a promising prospect for the Arizona Cardinals. Authorities found him Saturday dead at the age of 25. They suspect, police do, that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was found dead in the garage of a property in his hometown of New Albany, Indiana. The death still remains under investigation, but it is, again, a tragedy. Traded in 2024 to the Falcons, dislocated right knee, never played for them. I think the same thing happened with the Vikings in 2025. A lot to unpack with all of this. But Trent, I know you've talked about the immense pressure that that you felt and a lot of guys feel, not just for themselves, but for their families when they get this opportunity to play professionally. And when that goes away because of injury, that is a heavy, heavy burden to bear.
Yeah, man, it's it's crazy, man. Seeing this young kid, 25, so much pressure on that kid, man, and not having the career that you wanted, and being traded. First of all, being traded within itself is tough. I can remember being traded. Wednesday, I was just at practice in the facility, and Wednesday night, I had to fly out to Indianapolis, and so leave my whole family behind. Just bought a house, kids in school, and so man, that mindset of like, bro, I know I'm the best player on the field. Like, how am I getting traded? And it's not, this conversation not about me, but it's like I've been in those situations where like that self-talk, that self-doubt can eat you up and chew you out, bro. Like it's one of those things that if you don't have the guys around you, and I'm talking about family love, because my biggest thing was, man, like I felt like the league was trying to pull me from my family, and that's how I got there. And so, and when you're not succeeding and having success because you're in a different program, you're not the number one target no more, or you having injury problems with knees, shoulders, whatever it is. It's one of those things where, man, you start talking to yourself in a different way. And so, one thing about Coach Saban and that I love and I respect a lot, that he's always had sports psychiatrists around us. He's always had guys that, would dig into our minds and make sure that, we wasn't, on that level far as, self-talk of bad conversations with ourselves. Because I'm telling you, man, that mind can play a big role in how you play, how you live, how you make decisions, right? And so I feel for the family, man, because I think it's three kids. I mean, I ain't gonna say kids, 3 men we done lost in the last less than a year. And so, man, it's a tough thing as a family to even, have to, to put down that, their chest that, man, if we would have just reached out to them, or so it's not the family fault. It's just one of those things to where, man, when stuff not going right and you're on a national level, you done made it to the tops of the top, and you're not just getting talked about at your school, in high school or around the neighborhood, you're getting talked about around the world. And so for this kid to be playing football his whole life, like some people start at 4U. And so that's all you know for a long time. And so it's one of those things where, man, I'm praying for him and his family, and anybody else, bro. Like, talk. Like, and as men, we're not trained to speak out. We're always taught to be tough, be strong, be that guy. It's always one of those situations. So and you definitely don't, when you don't have people to go to when you're back at home that's been at your level of playing ball, and that can talk that type of conversation, it's hard.
Right. Yeah,
it's hard to get through.
Can only imagine. Terrible. One other topic real quick. Florida State Senate has passed the Teddy Bridgewater bill. That's going to allow high school coaches to pay for athlete benefits. All right. You know a lot more about this than I do. That is your home state. And you've been following this pretty close. So give us the very brief overview, and then tell us where you think your thoughts on where this ought to go.
I thought it was a shit show when they was talking about Teddy with that, right? Because at the end of the day, like, you got kids who got real problems out here. And I had a kid on my team. He said, "Coach, I haven't had shoes." And because I was watching the kid like every day. He come in for practice, and he's always ran slides or something like that. I'm like, "Man, you ain't got, where your shoes at, man?" And we was doing walkthroughs in the gym or something like that. He's like, "Coach, I haven't had shoes since the 6th grade." And he was in 11th grade at the time. And so, just, looking at it and like paying attention to the kid was like, damn, like I've never seen him in a pair of shoes. Yeah. And so when you got a situation like that, and what Teddy said, like, man, I'm trying to help these kids get home. People know down in South Beach in Miami, bro, that's rough living down there, especially for, these high school kids, because you never know what the situation. Florida within itself, and places like Louisiana, places in Bama, but it's especially with those, high school kids, they don't live in the safest environments in the world, right? And so,
right.
You talking about Liberty City down there. You got some places down there, bro. Like, I'm not going at my age, right now. I'm not. It just, you want to keep these kids out of trouble. You want to keep these kids safe. And some of them kids go without eating unless they're at school. I was one of those kids. Like, bro, I didn't eat unless I was at school at times. And so, my mom made a way and my grandma made a way, but bro, it'd be times like, bro, we didn't know what meals was coming from. And so, man, I feel for Teddy on this, and they shouldn't have messed with this, man. I mean, coach's salary ain't much in high school at all, especially for position coaches. And you look at, what position coaches get paid, and for him to be doing stuff like that for these kids, bro, man, I commend and kudos to Teddy Bridgewater, and thank you for getting that law passed in Florida, because it's a lot of those kids who need in that service. Like, it's different when you're trying to be a all-around coach. And what I mean by that, not just teaching kids football, teaching them life, pouring into these kids. So
Right.
that man is doing a service for these kids and trying to keep them safe. And so, listen, man, pay Teddy some more money because he's taking care of those kids. And telling you, man, it's ugly out there for a lot of these kids, man. And so I feel for them.
It is indeed. Hey, as we wrap it up, we're going to turn back to the hardwood, talk some basketball for a few moments. Alabama beats Ole Miss to get to 6 straight wins, I believe now, for the Crimson Tide, and still one of 2 teams. I guess they're there with Tennessee, and I think Texas may be as well. Actually, I think they got beat this weekend.
Arkansas,
forgive me. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, partner. Arkansas is the one that's sitting there, and with that number of losses as well, because Bama beat them, and that's really what we want to talk about.
Bama did what?
Bama beat Arkansas.
Okay.
In double overtime. I knew you liked that. 117 to 115. John Calipari's going over the press conference. He's looking at the stat sheet. He's reading all this stuff. 115 points, blah, 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 blah. We did this, we did this, we did this, and we lost. It's amazing. One of the highest point totals Bama's ever had in a game, in a win. And, boy, you had so many guys that were so good in this game for the Crimson Tide. You had star power, Acuff for Arkansas, Philon for Bama. 3 guys. But I'll put this in perspective for you, Trent. I think it's the 3 highest totals ever, okay, at Coleman Coliseum. John Morant, I saw drop 41 or 42 against Alabama when he came in with Murray State. The 49 from Acuff. 69 from Pistol Pete Maravich without a 3-point line. Amazing. Historic numbers that we're talking about. But the 49 from Acuff, and here's the other thing. All 3 of those that I mentioned, all 3 lost to the Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
None of those was in a win. So those were all amazing. But, man, that was a special, special ball game that we got to witness between the Tide and the Hogs.
Yeah, I mean, what's amazing more about that, Chris, you was around to see Pistol Pete play and be
I was not, you dog.
Oh, I'm about to say.
I wasn't born yet. Yeah. It wasn't in my lifetime. That's what threw you. I thought you were messing with me again. No, I didn't see that one, you dog. I was born in 70. I used to like you. You used to be one of my 3 favorite members of this podcast. Four left off Steve. My bad.
Yeah, but yeah, Ben, I was actually in the building for that game, the Arkansas game, and I'm telling you, that kid could not miss, man. I can't say kid, that grown man out there, and it was like they was playing defense on him. They give him a split, half of a second, room to breathe, and he was knocking them down like he couldn't miss. Like, I mean, that kid put on the show. Our boys came together and played and fought through it. I mean, you got guys coming off the bench, man, and for guys coming off the bench and contributing. Center had a big game. Both
Sherelle, 26 and 13.
Yeah. I mean, I think we had 2 guards had over 20-some points.
Yeah, you had Sherelle with 26.
Yep.
You had Philon with 35 and 7 assists, by the way. Holloway with 15. Amari Allen was terrific. He had 19 and 11, but he had 11 points and 9 boards at halftime. He almost had a double-double in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. All those big numbers, and they were big. Houston Millette, of the guys that scored for Alabama, had the lowest amount, but maybe the 2 biggest shots.
Yeah.
He hit a 3 in the first overtime. It was his first make of the game. His next make came with under a minute to go in the second OT and turned out to be the final points for the Tide in that one.
I've always said, and man, I might have got this from Coach Saban, big players make, big plays in big situations. And so that guy came up big in that situation, and he didn't shy away from it. He
No.
wanted to take the shot, and everybody knew that he was the guy to make that shot. And so when you got, guys that just got the mindset, I might come off the bench, or I haven't scored nothing. And at the end of the day, if the game is on the line, put the ball in my hand.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And man, listen, and so those final moments, in both of the overtimes was huge. And man, that guy there gonna have, that memory to tell his family, his kids, his grandkids. We're gonna have plenty of stories about that for the rest of his life, man. And so, and that was an Arkansas team that's, coached by Coach K. And we know, what type of monster and what type of beast he has been at the college level. And so when you got a guy that's on the other side dropping 49 points, you had a couple of our guys combined didn't compare to the 49 points, right?
You had to sound right. It's Cal, not Coach K, but it's Coach Cal. That's right. Coach Krzyzewski doesn't look like it'd be a K, but Coach Calipari. Y'all don't even remember that Coach Krzyzewski, the commercials they used to do with him.
It was way before my time.
No, it ain't way before your time. Actually, you know what? Dang it might be. It was an unbelievable effort. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I will say one more thing about Houston Millette, like we were talking earlier with Germie Bernard. Houston's not as impactful. Obviously was late, but he's not as impactful a player as Germie.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two of the best young men I have ever in all my years being a part of. There are no two any better than those guys in terms of quality people and who you want wearing the script A. I mean, phenomenal. So to see him have, and it's been a struggle this year offensively. He does all this other stuff, blue collar stuff that's really important. He still had 4 boards in that game. But see him have that offensive success was a special thing to see. Now they got to turn. They got Mississippi State at home. They've got the trip to Knoxville next weekend as well, or this coming weekend. So they got some tough ones on the table here, but they're certainly showing they're capable of getting it done. And hopefully it'll keep going.
And I think we said it last week, like they're getting hot at the right time. Like the time is now for them. They come together fit to go into the tournament, SEC tournament, fit to get ready for March Madness. So if it ain't time to get clicking, if it's time to get clicking, it's definitely right now. So they got the hot hand, man. And so I just, want the guys to keep it up, man. And, just know every game is a different game, but you play it like it's your last. And so it's a one-game season through the season. So
no doubt. All right. We survived it. We got by without 10. The quarterback wasn't able to go, so we just went Wildcat. It ain't the first time with 3 there. Taking the snaps, but great job, partner. Appreciate you. Appreciate, as always, Steve Gorgie, and appreciate most of all you checking us out on all of our social media platforms. And thank you so much for sharing the show as well. For Trent, for AJ in absentia, or actually in Dallas, for Steve Gorgie and all of us with the Dynasty, I'm Chris Stewart. Roll Tide, everybody.